if I see like a girl walking down the street that I think is cute, I'll be like, she's cute. I'm not gonna be like, look at that ass or whatever. Like, I wanna that, you know? Like. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'd like to talk about some signs that I was trans that were obvious in retrospect after 2 years of figuring out my gender identity, but I didn't quite piece together until about a couple years ago when I started transitioning. So there were some pretty obvious signs looking back in retrospect, especially throughout my teenage years, that I was trans. I just didn't put them together. So if you end up liking this video, please leave a like down below and leave a comment telling me what you liked about it or what else you would like to see from me, and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more. Thanks! So, yeah, like I said, a lot of signs throughout my teenage years, specifically signs that I was deeply uncomfortable being a man or becoming a man. And unlike some trans women, I wasn't super drawn to femininity as a kid. My dysphoria primarily manifested itself as like a rejection of masculinity, especially when I was becoming a teenager and like social expectations of gender became more apparent around me in my life. And probably the earliest trans moment I can remember, like even before I was a teenager, is when I learned what the word tomboy meant, and I thought to myself, oh, that's me, that's what I am. And also, that's like the girls that I like are tomboys. And I think that this probably occurred to me around the time I was like 6 or 7. So anyways, fast forwarding to my teenage years though, throughout my teenage years, the biggest theme of how my dysphoria manifested was the rejection of and even disdain for masculinity, particularly like mainstream masculinity. One big example, I'll go through a couple, but one big example was how I really hated sports. And I'm sure that's something that a lot of you watching this will be able to relate to. But I used to be so condescending. I was like, why would anybody play sports ball? Just like a bunch of meatheads running around trying to show off how tough they are. It's pathetic. I obviously don't feel that way now. Like, sports are cool. I was very disgusted by like high school like football culture or whatever. I was very put off by it and like the sort of masculine tropes surrounding it. Another like minor example is how I was interested in history, but like the middle school and high school boys that were like specifically interested in military history, and you know, if any of them were into history, it was usually going to be like World War II, like generals and like planning and stuff like that. And I'm like, ew, no, that is so gross. Like, it's frankly disgusting. Like, to be that into war. I still don't get that. I'm still pretty negative on that one. So another really funny example was how I was really into video games as a kid, and I still love video games, but I was honestly like, especially around the time that I was like 14, I was like an extremely toxic participant in the console wars. Console wars, if you guys know what that is, basically like people having dumb little rivalries about like which video game console was better, and I was a die-hard Nintendo super fan, and I absolutely hated Xbox, a little bit less so PlayStation, but specifically Xbox, and I hated Call of Duty, specifically that game. And like other like war simulator games and FPSs. Again, it's the like, I don't know why people like get so into like war, and I think that there's just like a lot of machismo and like performative like masculinity that like teenage boys get really into about like LARPing as like some cool soldier guy, which I was so put off by. And I still love Nintendo and prefer their like colorful and imaginative worlds. But as much as I liked Nintendo, at the time I was just as invested in disliking the games that I saw as grotesquely masculine as I was in liking the games that I actually liked. So I hope it's clear that the trend here is that I was deeply uncomfortable with mainstream masculinity, and to cope with that discomfort, I consistently put the things that I saw as masculine, or I didn't really necessarily think about it as being hyper-masculine at the time, the things that I saw as dumb or whatever, but like really I was seeing them as masculine. To like cope with that discomfort with them, I would like put them down and like call them dumb or whatever, and I would like try and seek out like an alternative, like being like the smart kid instead of like the sporty kid, or like Nintendo instead of Xbox or whatever. Another example, okay, kind of moving away from like this trend of discussing like rejecting mainstream masculinity and like finding like an alternative for it. I'm gonna get into like a little bit more, like specifically like things about myself that I was uncomfortable with. So I was really uncomfortable in like male locker rooms or like someone going to the beach and taking my shirt off. Like, I was never one of those people that would like swim with a shirt on, but for some reason I did always feel very uncomfortable whenever I had my shirt off, or like with my body really being exposed at all. Like if I was in like the locker room or whatever, I didn't like the like masculine environment of the locker room. I didn't feel like I fit in. And every time like I went to a water park with my family, I specifically remember dreading having to go into the men's changing room. I was just so uncomfortable there. I also hated clothes shopping. This was like a big thing that I figured out for myself once I started transitioning, was that I basically didn't put I didn't pay any regard or attention to what I looked like, and it was irrelevant to me. Like, it didn't matter. Like, I didn't care what my appearance was, basically. I was very disinterested and like disinvested in it. So I hated clothes shopping, and like my mom would have to drag me to the store like once a year to go like new clothes shopping for the beginning of the new school year every year, and I hated every second of it. I would get like funny graphic tees or like video game shirts that I liked. I was the classic like green t-shirt with the Legend of Zelda Triforce on it, and then the like beige cargo shorts. Classic. That was me for a long time. I was very uncomfortable with my general like gender presentation, even though I wouldn't have described it that way at the time. But I didn't have like any sort of like masculine archetype that I wanted to aspire to or conform to, or that I just wanted to be. Like, that just didn't exist for me, and I was kind of left in like a void of like picking anything that was like vaguely representative of like who I was and that was like physically comfortable to wear. I wasn't really ever going out of my way to like present myself in a way that made me feel happy and confident and like the way that I looked. And for a long time, I couldn't even have imagined what that would be, and I didn't see it as even being possible for me. But one thing that I did really like was having long hair, and that started between my freshman and sophomore year of high school, when I would have been about like 15, I think. That summer, I finally got to this point of autonomy with my parents where they were like just waiting for me to agree to go get a haircut. They weren't just gonna drag me out there if I didn't want to, and I just never said that I wanted to get a haircut. I never like said like, yeah, okay, let's get a haircut today. Like, they would ask me like, you want to go get a haircut now? You want to go get a haircut now? And it's like, no, I don't really feel like it. Like, I'm fine without cutting my hair. I always hated getting my hair cut. I think I probably mentioned that in the video that I did about like my hair and hair care, but I always hated getting a haircut so much. It felt so like physically uncomfortable, but also just like I always thought I looked bad afterwards, and it was just like a lightly traumatic experience all around every time. And so I would never want to go back there. I'm like, no, I don't want to get my hair cut more. And that wasn't even like a specific conscious choice to grow out long hair. It was just like avoiding the unpleasant scenario of getting a haircut. But then once I started growing out my hair a little bit, I started to like it, and I still had like this weird like disconnect from my like appearance and general like visual and aesthetic presentation, but I did realize that I kind of liked having longer hair. For a while it was kind of like a little like poofy like fro thing, and I didn't know how to take care of it, and it looked pretty bad sometimes, not always, but like I didn't know how to take care of it, and my friends like kind of laughed at me for it. They were like, what are you doing? Like, why do you have that weird goofy like poofy haircut? And but I didn't cut it. Like, honestly, throughout high school I was like teased and made fun of for having long hair, and everybody told me to cut it all the time, and they said it looked weird, but I would never cut it because I couldn't even, after like 6 months to a year of having long hair, or like somewhat long hair, I couldn't even imagine going back to having short hair. Like, I never looked back. Like if I like tried to imagine myself with short hair, I felt like I would look like a little kid, and I like either like a little kid or something that I couldn't even imagine myself as, which in retrospect is like a man, I guess, like a more mainstreamly like masculine archetypical man with short hair. I couldn't even imagine myself as that, and so the alternative was like if I cut my hair, I'd just look like a little kid, like I'd look like a little boy again, and I didn't want that. And I began to be very fond of having long hair, even though like it caused like a lot of stress and negative experiences for me. It was just like I like this for some reason, and you know, in retrospect, it's like, yes, bitch, you should have like beautiful long brown curly hair. Like, of course you should have this. But at the time, I couldn't really have explained it. I was just like, I like my hair and I don't want to cut it off, despite how much everybody made fun of me for it. And you know, I always kept it like put up in like this weird bun, like at the back of my head, like that. I didn't know how to take care of it, so it would just be like this all the time. Like, and it was like all frizzy and like poofed out all the time too. Basically, it kind of looked like this. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but like, it looked bad. So yeah, there's my long hair, and then let's see, the last major sign that I would like to talk about that I was trans is when I was like 13, I basically like came up with the definition of demisexual to describe myself when my parents like sat me down and like really pressured me about like my sexuality. I don't remember the context of this. I think that there was like some drama with a girl that I liked, and then I just started breaking down and telling them things. But like, I basically described to them how I didn't have like this sort of like masculine carnal lust where I would like see a hot girl walking down the street and be like, "Auga, like I wanna fuck you," or whatever. Like, I did not have that, and I could not relate to that, and I didn't know why like that was like such like an expected experience for men to have. And I was like, listen, I do not experience that. I don't know what you want from me, but like the way I experience attraction is like generally like my friends at the time. Like if I would develop a crush on somebody that I was friends with, and then I would think that they're like the prettiest, most beautiful person in the world or whatever. And like I saw, like basically in retrospect, let me take a step back here. In retrospect, what I was describing is like, this is not a perfect way to describe it, but something more analogous or something along the lines of like how women are typically expected to experience attraction as compared to how men are typically expected to experience attraction. Like the way that I experience attraction and the way that I did even as a 13-year-old, which is what I was trying to explain to my parents, is that it's like more of like an emotional connection and like an aesthetic appreciation, and like there's like, I also like experience sexual attraction. I don't really consider myself to be on like the asexual spectrum at all. Like I do experience sexual attraction and desire, but like it's just not like this like masculine carnal lust for conquest that like is so like expected of men. Like if I see like a girl walking down the street that I think is cute, I'll be like, she's cute. I'm not gonna be like, look at that ass or whatever. Like I wanna that, you know? Like that's just not the way I think about things. And I really thought that that's like what was expected of me, and like I feel like that's what my parents expected of me. And I was like, why do you think that this is what I'm gonna be like? I am like a 13-year-old child. I do not feel like attraction like that. And I don't know if like most 13-year-old like cis boys feel that, but I certainly did not, and it made me very uncomfortable, but that was an expectation of me. And I tried my best to explain that like I am attracted to people that I like am emotionally connected to, and that I like think are like cool or cute in like some aesthetic way, and that is like, that's a prerequisite usually for being sexually attracted to somebody. Like if I think somebody has just like the most basic style in the world, even if they have like an attractive like body shape or whatever, it's like they're just not gonna catch my interest. And I don't know. I think that like set me apart from my peers as like a 13-year-old boy. I think any 13-year-old boy is like, big booba, oh my god, like let me hit that. And it was just like, nope. Oh, I specifically remember one time I was in Spanish class my freshman year of high school. I must have been about 14. There was like this weird kid sitting next to me. We had like this very kind, sweet woman from Panama who was our teacher. I can't even remember her name. Mrs. Reyes or something? I'm sorry. But I can't remember. But she was like a little bit young for a teacher, not super young. And she was definitely an attractive person. But she was just a great teacher and she was super sweet. And that's how I thought of her. You know, I didn't think of her like, oh my god. But apparently that's how this kid sitting next to me thought of her. And he like whispered something to me like, hey. And I was like, I didn't hear him, and I just like also thought this kid was annoying and didn't want to talk to him or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. I like didn't even hear what he said, but I was just like, yep. And then he was like, and then he said the same thing to somebody else, like getting an affirmation from me, but not really an interesting answer. And then I heard it the second time when he said it to somebody else. He was like, hey, isn't Mrs. Reyes so hot? Don't you want to bang her? And I was like, what the? That is not, I did not agree to this. You are weird, kid. You are, I mean, I guess it is not that messed up for like a horny little teenage boy to think his teacher is hot. But like, I was just like, nope, no, that's not me. I'm not agreeing to that. Like, I didn't hear you before. No. And I said that to him, and I don't even remember what his response was, but he must have thought I was so weird. Oh my god, and then there was, I was on the ski club bus. All my friends and I were in ski club, and this one kid, Damien, my friend Alex's little brother, like one time got really interested in trying to like show me porn and be like, don't you think this is hot? Like, isn't this so hot? Like, are you gay? Like, why are you not interested in this? Like, does this give you a boner? And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I guess she's hot. Like, why are you like shoving fucking like explicit porn in my face? And he was like, bro, you're gay. You must be gay. Why are you not like jumping out of your seat because I'm showing you porn right now? You must be gay. So that was the thing, is that like a few people thought I was gay. My parent, like, that was why I had that conversation with my parents, probably, is because they like kind of thought that maybe I was gay. So that's like another sign. I like had to like consider whether or not I was gay a few times. And I was like, no, I obviously like girls. Like, girls are awesome. The thing is, I just didn't understand that I wanted to be a girl. And I don't want to get past 20 minutes, but I also was like idolizing queer women, and I was like, girls are so cool. Like, gay girls are so cool. I want to be like a gay girl. Like, they're just the coolest people I know. Surprise, I am a gay girl. Okay, I think that about covers it for everything that I wanted to talk about in this video. If you liked it, please hit like. Tell me what you liked about it in the comments, what else you want to see from me. If you could relate to it, I'd like to hear your story. And subscribe if you haven't already for more content from me and my channel. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Have a good day. Bye!